heard of the Cannabis Commodities Exchange? CCX is the premier wholesale trading platform for licensed cannabis businesses around the country. If you don't have a state-issued license, that's okay. Anyone over 21 can sign up on CCX to get a glimpse of the first trade-driven overview of the cannabis industry. Becoming a member at CCX is fast, easy, and best of all, free. So sign up at www.canexchange.com or call us at 1-800-498-3CCX. Whether you need to sell your surplus or fill your shelves, CCX is building bridges for your business.
Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project. This is Brainstorm, once again bringing you your weekly podcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado. You're exploring the business side of this newly emerging economy. This is the first media platform to help fellow cannapreneurs build sustainable businesses. We are back from Thanksgiving. How did it go? Did you survive the turkey? Did you survive the family time? It was a great Thanksgiving here. Hung out with the family, stayed local. You know, you don't need to do much traveling this time of year. Why travel? Stay back, hang out, a couple days off to relax. What did you do this Thanksgiving? You know what? Let's give away some edibles. I'm sure food is the last thing you want to think about right now, but let's give away some cookies to hear your Thanksgiving story. Call in, email me, contact me. Let's get a little bit recorded of your best Thanksgiving story, cannabis related or not. And the best story I like will get a batch of 3 cookies donated by HMO Plus, your home growers locally here in Colorado, making oil-infused cookies. And ooh, are they so yummy. They're donating cookies, and I'm going to give them to you for the best Thanksgiving story. Contact me.
Wow.
Before we do anything else, let's make sure we get back on track. It's been a week or so since we've been back on the air, so I want to make sure you didn't forget what we last talked about. Let's do a quick short-term memory flashback relapse to remember all the great things we learned before our Thanksgiving break, and then we'll move on to this week's show. Gypsy Jane 2014 Festival. Appearances by Snoop Dogg. We got a booth that we're sharing with Dhamma Lifestyle. You may remember them from our interview that we did over the last couple weeks. A little clip, heard about them, the lifestyle of Dhamma. Sharing a booth right in the heart of the event in the center. Once again, bringing you 420 cannabis lifestyle up front, and we will take a business aspect. We have vendors left and right of us. We have people walking around sharing product on both sides, product flowers. Hey, remember when we did the Cannabis Cup 2014? We're back at the Denver Merchandise Mart, pretty much doing the same thing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun at Cannabis Cup.
We had some technical difficulties in the middle of the event to buy. What did you buy?
Just a splitter, man.
You bought a splitter, so we had some technical difficulties. There was no power to the booth we had. We're in a 20 by 20 booth.
I was talking to those big guys over there.
Keep going.
Boobs.
I need you to fill that airtime when I stop talking. When the talent stops talking, that's when you jump in as the co-host. That's your responsibilities.
Well, there's a lot to see over here, so I'm trying to take it all in.
Well, you need to be able to compartmentalize your brain and do two things at once.
I got the splitter.
Okay, but just because you did a good deed doesn't give you a full rights to slack on your main responsibilities, which is being co-host. So the show needs to be awesome. As we talked about, man, it only takes one person, right?
That's it.
It only takes one person to hear your show, see your product, hear your pitch. There's pretty much any trade show, festival, event you've been to. There's tents and rows, every product. What I like about this better than the 420 event is that there's actually a diversity of products. It's not just clothing and paraphernalia. There's everything from food to hemp to music to artists, everything coming down that you could think of that would be at any other trade show or event going on. That's what I like about this one. The 420 got a little bit of negative feedback from somebody. I think it was probably me mostly. Can come on here and flounder around and still get multiple appearances. So don't worry about it. Whatever you got to talk about, whether it's a business, an organization, a cause, or anything else, find us. I'll invite you down. We'll get on the mics. It's a little rejection. I mean, because we got to get to other people. You know, we got to casually bring somebody else on. Because if we jump straight to somebody else, it'll look like we're just jumping straight to.
Right. How about some rolling papers?
Again? Well, I say reserve the actual smoking to when people are here, and that way we can always smoke when people are here, but not over smoke by smoking in the office.
Okay. I'm with that.
So we've been sitting here bullshitting, just getting high. Legally doing so in the beautiful state of Colorado.
Right.
Lovely afternoon.
Yeah.
There you go, short-term memory, flashback, relapse. That was the Grow Flounder and I at the Dama Lifestyle booth at Gypsy Jane 420 2014, hanging out, having some fun. Listen to that show if you want a good laugh or two. And make sure to listen to all the shows. We're coming up towards the end of the year. We're going to have a big recap show, and then we're going to go into year 2. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? 45 shows in. We just got a handful left, and we will be at 50, a full year. Woohoo! I guess we made it past a benchmark. I'm not quite sure what it means. We are growing steadily as a community. We're growing as a podcast. We're growing in name. Cannabis Community Project. Spread the word. Help us spread the word. We're getting sponsors with cool products coming on board that I hope you'll get involved with yourselves and check out. That's how we're supporting ourselves. And please make sure to contact me if you want to be on the show. Everybody is welcome. This is a community show. Connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, anywhere else, most all of the major media platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, everything else. You know, I like to hear from you. This is truly what I love to do. All the other things I do for work out there, part-time jobs or anything else, it's a miserable experience. All I can do is think about waiting to get home and work on the show for the week, putting little bits and segments together. I do it for you. I do it for me. I do it for my brother, Crow. And I do it out of love for so many things. I love media, I love cannabis, I love business. I want to talk about it with you. I want to make sure you get a chance to get your voice out into the community. You know, sometimes people have sponsors on shows because, you know, it's just whoever pays the bills. We go out and look for businesses to interview and be sponsors specifically to grow the community with a strong network of businesses, because they're going to be the ones out there hiring the young lads coming out of school, the ones who are wanting to work in the industry. Well, here's your chance to get to know these businesses, get to understand how they think, how they function, how they work. So when you fill out your resume and apply for those jobs, you're right there with them in the industry growing. Also, make sure to tell any of your musician friends to send their music tracks my way. Hey, how have you been liking the music? I've been trying to make it different most weeks, change it up, heavier, softer, lighter, professionally produced, out on the streets, amateur recorded cell phones. I want every type of music coming through the show. I do hip-hop, heavy, reggae. No reggaeton, though. I haven't done any reggaeton. But if you have a friend, maybe you are a musician and you want to have a channel and you want to promote your music through our community, contact me, send me your file in MP3 with a little waiver form, bit of permission. You know, YouTube flags you because they have all these automated algorithms that run through your shows and everything you post. And they find this music that I contact personal musicians, but some of them, I mean not all of them, but some of them actually have albums produced that are out there by companies, and they're in the copywritten paper law somewhere out on the internet. And YouTube will find that music and they'll flag you for copyright violation and pull your video, and you have to fight and dispute with them. file disputes to get it put back on, and you have to claim and swear that you have permission and show proof and the whole deal. It's such a hassle. This is where it's come. Everybody's out looking to get their buck. Everybody's out looking to get their dollar. That's why I prefer local musicians that don't have management and they're just starting. As long as you're good, I'll get you on the air. It's such a hassle working with managers and companies and copyrights and everything else. It's part of being a producer, though. It's what you have to really think about if you're going to put together an actual show like we're trying to do here. Producing a show is not just about, what are you going to talk about and how is the style of the format going to come out. You have to think about all the logistics, the website, the hosting for your website, hosting for your media, right? I mean, it's quite possible somebody could produce a show that's interesting that draws an audience. What's unrealistic about these situations of people wanting to be podcasters is their lack of understanding of the production. The production of how the internet works, how file management works, bandwidth, data, formats. These are all things you have to think about. And ultimately copyright, music. You can't just pluck whatever music you hear, whatever you like out of off the internet and use it. And sometimes even if your friend gives it to you, it may not be his rights to give. All complicated issues that have to be thought about if you're going to do a show. Have you ever thought about doing a podcast? I mean, obviously the issue of cannabis is covered. No, just kidding. I'm not a competitive person in that sense. I mean, anybody that wants to do a podcast, even if it's about cannabis, feel free. Feel free. Have me on. I'd love to be your guest. I'll have you on. We'll exchange information. We'll exchange shows. Building a community is not about competition of eliminating one another. It's about joining together and finding uniqueness. I mean, even if somebody wanted to do a podcast about cannabis, focusing on the business side, right? Using my tagline, they're still not going to be me. Only I can be me. Right? There's only one Brainstorm out there, so all it would be is a show with a similar format, but it would not be the same show. It would not be the Cannabis Community Project. This is really what it's like out there in the world of cannabis, in the world of business, in society. So you want to be in cannabis, and maybe you're a grower. Maybe you wanted to do something that there feels like there's a lot of competition or nobody's hiring for. Well, a lot of people know the steps of growing. A lot of people understand the fundamentals of what it means to have a plant producing buds. But are they you? Get out of the cubicle. Get out of the thinking of titles, right? Get out of title thinking. Well, I'm going to be a graphic designer. Oh, that's all right, man. We already got that covered. There's 12,000 graphic designers on Craigslist right now, all pitching their work for less money than you, and they all have double the experience. Right. All right, then I'm not a graphic designer. But I'm something else that produces graphic-like work. I don't know what the name of it. Do you? So there's 1,001 other podcasters. 82 of them are doing shows on cannabis. I like to learn. I want to be the student. I want to be the perpetual student. I want to learn. That's why I love doing the podcast. Because it lets me dabble in the life of a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of everything. Dibble and dabble. Learn about everything. That's what I want to do. I want to learn about everyone and everything. So I got to be at the center of that communication. That's why I'm drawn to podcast. Why are you drawn to what you're doing? What makes you get up in the morning and say, this one's for me. Today is for me. As we go into 2015, just a few weeks away, this community is a cannabis community. If you have an idea, a business, perhaps just some thoughts about cannabis, contact me. I want to hear from you. I want to discuss these issues: health, food, music, growing, technology, business, everything else. CCP. Thanks to all of our sponsors, and this week we're highlighting Dairy Berries Recording Studio. Find him at dairyberriesrecordingstudio.com or call Mark at 303-456-8216. Feeling guilty about a time with cannabis? Get it off your chest and confess it on Canifessions, your public forum to absolve your soul.
New voice message, Wednesday, 4:21 p.m.
Hey, what's up? I'm calling in to make a confession. This is Black and Gold Wildcat. That is my pen name. Just want to call in and confess that I have smoked cannabis illegally on 5 different continents and in international waters as well. So North America, Europe, Africa, Asia, South America, the Mediterranean Sea, the Caribbean Sea. I just needed to tell somebody that so I don't get arrested by international authorities. So thanks for letting me get that off my chest. Later.
And that was Canifessions. If you have a confession to make, contact me via Facebook or the website at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
Wish I was a squirrel in the world, so I could be on my little girl. Maybe I'll find a girl squirrel to share with me my fucked up world. Wish I was a swan in the pond, so I could swim all night long. Maybe then I miss my call. Divine guides up above.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Check, check, check.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Check, 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 check,
Check,
check,
check,
check,
check. I
check,
can't.
check.
How about now? Oh, now I can hear myself.
Got it?
It must have been this. This was too much.
All right. This reminds me of that SNL skit with the
Sweaty balls.
sweaty balls.
And I guess that. And this is public radio.
I can really sink my teeth into these balls. These sweaty balls.
I don't know. We might just shoot the shit for 2 minutes until these guys are done smoking. First. Oh, wait, hey. Let me introduce you again. I've been calling your last name Afoble, but
That's
a
a new
feeling-
one. I haven't heard that.
I have a feeling that's horribly wrong.
Foodlight.
Well, how it's AFO
No.
AFA.
It's AFA.
AFA. Afable.
There you go.
Afable. Okay.
Fable.
Okay. When I was typing it into my phone, I wasn't quite sure how to say it, so I determined I would just call you by your first name.
Yeah, most people say affable.
Affable.
With the 2 F's, that's
You're a very
common.
affable guy.
Well, thanks. I get that all the time too, but yeah, it's a Fable.
So
First name
Scott's
Scott.
back from Highest Reward. 2 weeks in the town now.
That's right. It's been quite an adventure. I've done a lot of things in 2 weeks, and it just shows what kind of planning helps you do. So just jumping into a new place, but
Almost 2 weeks to the date, right?
Yeah,
It
2
was
weeks.
2 weekends ago when you said you were coming in,
Yeah.
right? And then you arrived, and last week you were at an event, and now you're out talking on the mics again. What have the last 2 weeks been like?
Well, it's been a real whirlwind trying to balance home life and the dreams and aspirations that you have with Highest Reward. But it's been good. I was able to go to 2 cannabis industry related events in just those 2 weeks. So I went to first the NCIA Sell Smart training, which was kind of like an advanced bud tender training course.
Where was this?
This was it was located at the Dixie Elixirs headquarters, which is I guess it's their headquarters, but apparently they have a couple of different facilities. But it was in a conference room at the Dixie Elixirs headquarters.
Nice. Yeah. And then you did some training, learned about bud tending, learned about, in general, the selling of. What was the specifics of that?
It really was a crash course. I'd say it was a 5-hour training. So first off, it was half a day commitment, pretty significant. And yeah, I went over advanced selling techniques. It went over
Advanced selling techniques,
yeah.
like what? You said you have a curiosity in tech stuff. I have a curiosity when people
Sure.
talk about selling methods and techniques. So, indulge me. What are some of the advanced selling techniques in the industry they're putting down?
I think it was advanced in the sense that it was along with a bunch of other things. Compliance was a huge segment, but as far as advanced selling, I think the main thing was being knowledgeable and the way you phrase how you're saying,
Right.
what you're saying to your potential customer. If they have questions, trying to read them in the beginning. We did a role-playing exercise where they just threw out a bunch of pictures on the table, and then we each had to pick one, and that was our customer. And
Pictures of people?
Pictures of people.
Oh, okay. And then you had to
it
talk
was
to
just
them in like a
magazines.
hypothetical.
Yeah, so you had to
sales
make up
pitch.
a backstory and actually listen. I think the big thing was that you needed to listen to them instead of trying to push
Sell them.
one strain or sell them on anything, but really listen to them.
It's the equivalent to the Leonardo DiCaprio Wolf of Wall Street to pull out the pen and sell me this pen.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you had to pull out a picture of a customer who doesn't talk, doesn't move, or react, and then sell them.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. In my shoes, not being a bud tender,
Right.
not having any experience at all, but me being on the other side as a patient in California.
It's an ironic method to practice through, especially since the theme was listening to your customer, to
Yeah.
choose an piece of paper and talk to it.
Right.
There's-
Yeah, I think it's a significant point because in my line of business where I'm consulting on human resources and different jobs within the industry, one thing that sets a person apart is these advanced techniques or experience and those sorts of things. So it was really interesting to see some very seasoned bud tenders be in there and be able to ask them questions and that sort of thing.
Was there a guy who walked in the room with like a suit and threw his keys on the table? So listen up, bud tenders. You're going to make $1 million this year. You're going to get out of here.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the Wolf of Weed Street.
It wasn't Ben Affleck
Yeah.
and what was that movie?
Boiler Room always comes to mind.
Boiler Room.
Is that
right,
what
right,
it
right.
is?
Yeah. Where he
Boiler
walks in the room,
Yeah.
throws his Lamborghini
The guy's
keys
under,
on the table.
under his desk trying to close a sale. Like,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, I think that sets it apart from other sort of sales types jobs where really it's founded in sort of the medical side where you're listening and trying to interpret and understand what the patient is suffering from,
Right.
and having the knowledge of the plant and being able to share what different strains would help this person or that
Yeah.
person.
They should just call it just like a listening seminar rather than a sales seminar.
Right.
They just say, here's a seminar on how
Sure.
to listen to your patient better. I think it would set the whole mood of what you're trying to accomplish and how people receive it
Right.
is just better general off. So you jumped right into seminars on week one. Last week you came with me to the CBD for All event. That was very interesting. You made some contacts there.
Yeah.
You got some people set up. So as you go into the first month here, what does it look like? Is it everything you thought it would be when you came from Southern California to Colorado in the middle of winter? Is this how you envisioned it happening?
Well, I'd say it's not Weedtopia. I had a friend who came and visited. I wasn't here at the time.
little
but
bit, though,
but he
right?
came
It's
to
kinda
Denver.
Weedtopia,
It's kind of you can
right?
smell it on the highways. You can smell
Right?
it.
I mean, you can
Yeah.
find a place on every
Sure.
street.
Sure.
Right? Most places you go, there's smoking
Right.
going on. I mean,
And
it's
everybody
kind
has
of-
their different perceptions of Weedtopia, but yeah, my friend who came here is like, I thought there was just going to be Rasta hats and guys selling weed everywhere, and being able to walk down the street. That was a big one.
Yeah.
He didn't realize you can't consume in public.
Right.
So-
Well, it's regulated like alcohol,
Yeah.
not like cigarettes.
Yeah.
And you can't walk down the street drinking your bottle or your beer either.
Right.
But Rasta hats, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How stereotypical is that?
Yeah, I think he was being stereotypical to be funny. I guess I'm not quite
Such
sure.
a small percentage of people that consume.
Sure.
So going into the first month, you got some business stuff lined up, or are you still getting settled in personally?
Doing both.
Yeah.
Just going out to the event with you and experiencing people firsthand stories about how cannabis aided and helped in their suffering.
It's powerful, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially when you see the young ones running around, just happy and smiling and playing, and in knowing that they weren't like that months, years, or weeks ago, but because of CBD or cannabis or whatever specifically they did, now they're just little kids running around and adults. I mean,
the parents. I mean, the parents that support these kids who have come to Colorado or are residents, find relief to their ailments with CBD especially, but with THC and cannabis. These parents have to go through so much for their kids. I'm a dad. I totally understand you go to the end of the earth for your kids.
Yeah, I brought my wife and daughter out to that event. That was one of the first all-ages cannabis events, I guess. There wasn't any real consumption going on, but it was about cannabis.
Yeah.
So I brought my daughter, brought my wife. She was moved by it. My daughter played with the kids, drew pictures, the whole deal. I want to get involved in more of those kind of events rather than just cannabis cup type events and more indulgent type events. I want to get more involved in that. That made me feel good to be part of that. What else you got? Treat you like a late night producer. Come on, what else you got, huh?
Well, I still want to, it was called the NCIA, so the National Cannabis Institute Association, the Sell Smart Training. It's a training course that they're putting together. I guess eventually being a certification process for bud tenders, and it's all about responsible selling. So a big portion of it was on compliance. Just thinking about opportunities in the industry. If you're a compliance professional, I've heard of some folks having challenges finding jobs. They're struggling finding jobs in the industry where do they really fit in the industry, and even as an entrepreneur, starting your own business.
Because obviously out of the industry, we're all having problems finding jobs, but in the industry,
right?
That's a good question also.
I feel like there's just, in the 2 weeks I've been here and talking to folks and then doing some history, I jumped here thinking, everything is going to be ready to go and, business is going to fly, et cetera, et cetera. What I think Trip Keeber at Dixie Elixirs said, you don't want to be ahead of the pack, but you want to be on the leading edge. So you really have to think about, if you're coming into this industry, what the current needs are and get on the ground and do your research.
Are you thinking it's going to be a slower process than originally
I think
intended?
So. I mean, we just got the first credit union to have the intent of operating, so providing banking services. So that's a big step. Now,
who's that?
Cannabis related, it's called Four Corners Credit Union.
Okay.
Hackenlooper gave his blessing to it. It just really needs to get national certification and coverage by the national creditors.
What type of credit union is it?
I'm not sure what type of credit union, but it will be for cannabis-related businesses.
So it's exclusively for the industry, or it's one
for the
that's
industry.
saying we will do business with the industry?
It's one that will say we'll do business with the industry. There's tons of banks that are already doing it, but business owners are using different names, and it's really not, they'll open an account and stay with a certain bank for, let's say, 10 months, and then start to feel confident in their relationship. And then the bank can all of a sudden turn around and just close all their accounts. So, I've heard of companies having 20-plus bank accounts over the last year. So it really is a process that needs to be fixed. And so they have the credit union now, the Four Corners Credit Union, that hopefully will provide some relief and allow businesses to focus more on growth and more on developing their brand, their product, and in making those investments into their employees that will hopefully, take their business to the next level, creating whatever culture that they want to create, but having employees that are engaged and ready to work.
I should introduce you to Crystal from Premier Dispensary Insurance, because she also has another company, U.S. Debt Services, where they offer the in-store machines. Where it's
the ATMs, or
it's a POS system. Kind of bypasses the banking altogether in that sense. She just introduced me to it right after I did her show a couple weeks ago, and it looked interesting in the sense that this is a big question. I mean, what are people doing with their money? Because checking accounts is not enough. Eventually,
how do you pay employees? You know, just give them a bag of money and send them out the door.
Right.
That's not safe.
Or personal check account. I mean, eventually you get to a level where you need some type of infrastructure that's beyond just needing a basic checking account or checks or some way to run credit cards. You actually need a financial backbone to your business that's paying employees and paying yourself and has expenditures and the whole deal.
Sure.
So what did you find? What was the solution that is coming down the line?
Well, I think the credit union and it being supported at a national level, it's a big thing. I mean, the state's giving its blessing, saying you're okay to operate in the state of Colorado. You're within the legal statutes of the law, so it's a legitimate business and a service provider to the industry.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and it needs to come, and it's
now. Is this the
time.
first step for your business that you're needing in place? You need some type of institution to handle that before you can implement the next part of your business, or
for me, no, because I don't actually touch cannabis, the product, so.
Right.
I don't have to be regulated by the Marijuana Enforcement Division.
But what's the significance of you getting this credit union on board?
It's providing a legitimate way for companies to do their business. Of course, everything revolves around money when you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So really, it provides them more freedom to help grow their company. So I think there's definitely a lot of advantages for smaller dispensaries. Ones that they have a vision, they want to be the best, or they want to be their niche, or whatever they want to create, and have a sustainable business that has frequent customers who come in every day, reliable employees. They need to have the means to do that.
Right.
And they have to pay the bills. They can't just hand cash out. There's folks like me, I'll happily accept cash, but, I think having electronic copies of business, it just legitimizes everything and makes things the way it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. I mean, now is where technology is truly empowering the individual and the small business. What else came down from this conference? Maybe a couple bullet points, highlights.
Sure.
That we could take away for those who weren't there. What was the most important you gathered?
Well, it wasn't much of a conference. It was really a meeting room, a conference room.
Was it a training?
It was
a
legitimate. It was a legitimate training.
Yeah.
It was held by Maureen McNamara of Cannabis Trainers.
Okay.
And she has put together a program, and she's worked for a long time in the alcohol division. I'm not quite sure, but the enforcement division for alcohol, creating training for certification for employees. So it's another regulated industry.
So it's something you can put on your resume to say you have attended.
Oh, yeah.
To show that you've covered that compliance angle.
Yeah, definitely. It's a resume booster, and I don't know if she's offering it to the masses, but it's through the NCIA, who's doing everything they can do to support small businesses in the cannabis industry. So if you haven't checked them out, I'm not a member yet, but I've attended a couple of their events, and they've kind of turned me on to being part of a professional organization that supports small businesses and in the cannabis industry at large.
Right. Excellent. That sounds like something that we should check out. Do they have routine meetings or gatherings, or was it a one-time event?
It's a part of a series, I believe. NCIA, they have the national conference, which again is scheduled for here in Denver, Colorado at the conference center. That's going to be in June, I believe. So it's a national conference. I went last year. I had 1,200 attendees. They're putting businesses in touch with each other, networking. If you run into quite a few high technology type companies that are doing inventory tracking, like Massroots, and I think Soham probably is, CCX is a member of NCIA. I don't know if they are, but those are the type of the organizations that are members with NCIA.
Yeah, CCX is going to be a good organization to stick to, because they're really looking at a lot of the information and side of the business also, and they're looking at really gathering information as much as possible.
Yeah.
So they'll probably be a good resource locally for all sorts of stats and statistics, from money to employment.
There's a lot of investors that attend these events too, because they're looking for companies that they're willing to invest into.
So it's a good networking opportunity.
Definitely.
Did you pay to get into it?
I paid to get into this training. For me, it was worth the investment, because as highest reward, as I talk about on the last show, we're going to be doing the first ever cannabis HR-related survey.
Right.
So creating benchmarks for companies to look at in terms of peer-to-peer competition, or whether you want to stay with the average or the median of activities and when it comes to HR. So what sort of benefits that you would offer an employer? How much does an entry-level bud tender typically make? Right now it's kind of a crapshoot. It's what you've always done or what you've heard. One other thing that I want to talk about was in terms of who I met there and who was attendees. Also in attendance was Max Montrose, who is, and I'm just going to put his name out there. Hopefully he's okay with that. I think he has a really interesting product that he's selling. He owns a company called the Trichome Institute, and they're putting together training materials, and he also has a book coming out. But he's a really, really intelligent guy. But what I found interesting about him was how he's trying to elevate the role of bud tender. And that's through education and knowledge, like we talked about
Through
earlier.
a higher status.
Maybe
to a higher status, so it's not the bud tender like the waiter. It's going to be a bud tender, more like a specialist, a professional.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree, and maybe I'm reading into what he's trying to sell a little bit more because I'm just coming from my side. But I think that with a higher level of clientele or understanding of this plant that's so complex, there's going to be a need for those specialists who know every little nook and cranny and trichome and the different strains that help certain ailments and
that makes sense.
Make you feel a certain way. So he's doing some really cool things.
Cool. What was his name again?
Max Montrose.
And is he out there on the internet? Does he work for
he's
an institution? Or?
I don't want to go into his background. I just met him.
People can look him up.
Sure,
on the internet? Okay.
But he's developed some training materials and some literary knowledge about the cannabis plant, and his knowledge is so vast. And I only met him for 5 hours that day. And anyway, wanted to do a little plug for him as well. So he's selling a book. And the class was really about that sustainable and responsible bud tending or cannabis selling.
Cool. So you recommend it to others?
Yeah, definitely. So
right.
I think you can sign up through NCIA and also through Cannabis Trainers.
Very good. Are you going to keep going back and keep us updated on more of these specific ones?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if I had to go to this certain training again, but as events come up, I'll let you know about them, and then if it's something that you think your audience would be interested, I'm happy to share.
You may not go back to this one, but you still recommend it for others.
Well, I got certified, so I got a little.
So now you have no reason to.
Yeah, I got something to hang on my wall.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you checking that out for us and bringing it back.
Sure.
Excellent. Welcome to Denver, and we'll see you again next week with another little report. Do you have any insights what the topic will be next week?
Next week, I think it's important to talk a little bit about, what sets your business apart. Are you feeling a need?
Very good. Excellent. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks for listening to this week's show. Make sure to come back next week. We're going to have more guests lined up, speaking with dispensary owners, growers, business owners. Make sure to follow us on all of the social media, Facebook, Google+. You can listen to our shows live from the website or your preferred listening platform. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, even YouTube, all under the same name, CannabisCommunityProject.com. We'll see you next week.
I'm honest now, baby. You're caught up.